Well, good evening, everyone. I'm live for the first time with my good mate FPL Tom, and we're going to chat some Euro 2024 fantasy. Apologies for being a bit late. We had some technical issues trying to get this running. It is, you probably won't appreciate this, but it's an absolute nightmare trying to get like a dual stream going. Unfortunately, the feed on Tom's channel isn't going to be able to work this one, but we'll work it out and get it sorted for next time. But how are you, Tom, after all that?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. It took a little bit of time. I didn't think this stream was going to happen at one point, but we're here. That's the main thing.
We're here, exactly. Got plenty of questions I see in the chat. I guess just first of all, mate, you were talking big news. Well, I guess it's not new news, but something that's appeared on my timeline on Twitter today is that Virgil van Dijk's the penalty taker for Holland. What are you making of that?
I mean, like I was saying to you before we came live, I have just ripped my team apart to get Virgil van Dijk in. It just seems like a little bit of a cheat code, to be honest. Anytime you get a player that's on penalties, has the potential of clean sheets as well, probably going to get all 3 points as the man of the match as well. That, to me, just seems like it could be a massive cheat code that people need to take advantage of.
There's a good bloke in my chat, David Tyner, who I believe has done quite well on making money in Fan Team. And he's just said he can either be a gem or a major trap, and he's leaning towards the latter one. I trust in David, that's all I'm saying.
Is David your go-to guy then?
He is my go-to guy, yeah.
I don't know, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I think it is all dependent on whether or not he gets a penalty. I think, was it you put a tweet out about, or it might have been in one of your videos, about the number of penalties at the last World Cup or the last Euros?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I made a bit of a mistake when I tried to extrapolate things. But yeah, I basically took a stat that there is a penalty in 1 in 3 games in like international tournaments in historic data, basically. But obviously having one penalty in a game means it could go to either team. And I was basically saying there's a third of a chance that a team gets a penalty in a game, basically, which wasn't quite true. But yeah, hopefully there'll be some penalties anyway.
Yeah. There always is. There's always a bit of controversy as well. So I think it's a good thing to have a penalty taker.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, mate, most of my team at the moment, I'm just looking at it on my screen, and most of my team is penalty takers right now. Apart from obviously the defenders, I've got the likes of Gundogan in there, Lukaku, Kane, and Mbappe, Çalhanoğlu from Turkey. Can't really count Bruno Fernandes as a pen taker, can you? But I do think he'll take them when Ronaldo inevitably gets subbed for having a strop or something.
Well, realistically, like, how many minutes do you think Ronaldo's going to play?
Yeah, I don't think he's got 3 90s in him, I've got to say.
No, and if they win the penalty-wise off the pitch, then Bruno's got to be the number one candidate for it. So, yeah. But I'm like you as well. There's a lot of penalty takes in my team. Kane, Lukaku, Mbappe, Gundogan, Bruno, Van Dijk now, and Çalhanoğlu as well. So I'm stacked with the penalty taker exploit right there as well.
Like, how are you finding the game in general? Like player pricing, positions, like transfer rules, dates of games, etc., etc. Have you found it all?
Yeah, I think it's quite refreshing. From playing at like FPL, like I think we spoke about it on Twitter together. Like FPL towards the back end of the season just felt a bit drab. Like, it kind of was, everyone had the set strategies in play. Everyone was kind of using the same players. It's refreshing with the pricing that there's so many premium options, in my opinion, because I think that's where FPL fell down a little bit this year. Now, that's not down to them, making mistakes.
Just is what it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, players like Harry Kane left, and you had KDB out for large parts of the season. So 2 of the top premium assets in the game were just useless. So it meant everyone could have a pretty stacked team. Whereas with this one, like, people do have to make sacrifices, and I think that does make it quite interesting. And I think we're going to see a lot of kind of different teams lining up throughout the tournament, to be honest.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, really good. Be really nice to see some variation. We've got loads of questions in this chat.
Oh, start firing some in.
You want me to start firing away?
Yeah, go for it.
Anton's asking if we will be rating teams. I know you've got a little video series about rating people's teams, Tom. So whether Anton, if you send a team into Tom, you might get featured in one of his upcoming videos.
Yeah. Drop me a message on Twitter as well, or leave it under the tweet for this one. And I'll take a look afterwards.
We've got FF Bobby in the chat. By the way, anyone that's watching this this stream, I'd absolutely recommend you check out his channel because he's got some fantastic stuff about Euros fantasy, and his Twitter account. He's tweeted out multiple threads that I've basically used for some of my content, and it's been fantastic, to be honest. So yeah, full credit to Bobby for that, and definitely check him out. Joseph asks, Gula or Çalhanoğlu for Turkey? What are you thinking on those two? If I've pronounced Gula correctly. Probably have.
Yeah. I think I would prefer Çalhanoğlu, to be honest, just for the fact that he's on penalties. Everyone's seen probably a Twitter clip of one of his free kicks throughout the years as well. So that for me, it just sways it.
Mate, he's the best free kick taker I've ever seen. He scored one from inside his own half, didn't
he? Yeah, he's absolutely unreal. So yeah, I'd go for him.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's see what we've got next. He's also asking, do you think Declan Rice is being overlooked?
I think he's going to play a completely different role from what he plays for Arsenal. I think he is going to sit a little bit deeper for that England side. So I think personally, he's probably not a player to be looked at. I think for next year's fantasy, if he's playing a very similar role to what he did this year, could be an option in that. But he does play, slightly different role for that England side.
Yeah, I got to say, I completely agree with you position-wise, and I think that pretty much stands for all the England midfielders as well, bar probably Saka. Yeah. I think Saka's the only one whose role is, he's going to play on the right wing, isn't he? But like Foden and Bellingham, I've seen a lot of people picking them in my latest draft that I put a video out, I had Bellingham in it. But ultimately, I think it's going to be really hard to decide on these England players before, because they have a couple of friendlies, won't they, before the tournament? So hopefully we get a view of how they're going to line up, because otherwise, you might be picking one that ends up playing super deep and doesn't really get in the box at all.
Yeah. I've currently got Foden. I originally had Bellingham, but I don't know what it was. I just fancied Foden. But the more and more I do like research and look at positioning, I'm starting to think I'm not as keen. But it's whether or not I can kind of justify spending that extra 0.5 million for Saka. And at the moment, I'm just not sure which way to go, to be honest, with that one.
No, fair enough. I think, we just need time and things to happen to decide that, don't we?
Yeah. 100%.
He's also asking about Grimaldo, who I don't think it's confirmed, because obviously they haven't played yet with Gaia being injured, but I think Jose Gaia, the first choice Spain left back, is injured and likely out of the tournament. Obviously, Grimaldo's been amazing for Leverkusen. Do you think he's an option?
I do. I think, though, it depends what chip strategy you're on. I imagine we're going to talk about this at some point because, people are going to have different opinions. When I put my latest draft video out, people were outraged that I was going for a wild card in match day 2 and a limitless in 3. But, I explained myself. I feel quite well. But
mate, yeah, absolutely. Play it your way.
They called me some, impolite names in the comment section, but we'll deal with them. We'll deal with them at the end of the tournament. We'll come back to them. But yeah, I definitely think he'll be an option. I think it's game week 3 that Spain play Albania. Yeah. That's probably the week that I'm looking at potentially going and getting him in on the limitless. Other than that, though, they do have Cucurella, who can quite comfortably play at left back as well. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how they kind of line up in these friendlies that they've got coming up. What kind of teams as well, when they're playing better teams, do they feel maybe that Cucurella is the better defender rather than going for that? Or does he offer certain things against certain, attacks that, Grimaldo just doesn't have in his locker?
It's a really fair shout on Cucurella, to be fair. I didn't even consider it because he's not in the game, but I saw a video of him getting announced in the squad. He was like recording him and his family reacted to it. So yeah, he's definitely, I think, going to be in contention for that spot. No, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
Thomas Shaw, thoughts on Mudryk / Dovbyk, the Ukrainian striker, versus Romania. He's on a match day 2 wild card and a match day 3 limitless. So it's Thomas' friends there.
My influence is slowly spreading. I like him. But the problem I've got is I think going for Lukaku, Kane and Mbappe is just too strong.
Yeah,
I think he's a really, really good pick. But all 3 of those forwards are probably strong golden boot contenders for this tournament. And I don't think they can be outlooked.
Yeah, I've said that in all my comments as well. People talking about cheap strikers. I can see the appeal, but I mean, well, I've got my team on screen. Lukaku, Kane, Mbappe. Ronaldo's in contention as well. He's not even made my team. I think you have to have those 3 of those 4 as your strikers and then build the rest of your team, to be honest.
100%. Yeah. I'm just looking at your team on screen now. Jorginho, what's kind of the thought process behind that one?
It's just in review at the moment, but I just feel like he's been so good for Italy when he has played, and international football, I think like the speed, pace, and style of it really suit him. Well, I don't know if there's any truth in it. I've seen a lot of people tweeting that he's been taken off penalties for Italy now. But I haven't seen it might be wrong. Someone might send it to me in the chat. But I haven't seen an official article or like a game clip where he didn't take a penalty, if that makes sense. So I've just got a little bit of doubt about that. And he's only 5 million, and I think he'll be all right for ball recoveries as well. So as long as he plays, even if he's not on pens, I think he could be all right. And ultimately, I don't think I would really be having him in my final 11 at the end of the week anyway. To be honest, looking at the rest of my team, I'm hoping a lot of those guys outscore him.
Yeah, you'd hope so. Who's the left defender? I can't quite see it.
Oh, it's Mæhle, the Danish wingback. He is.
Okay.
I don't know how many like international tournament games you've played like previously, but this guy is an absolute legend when it comes for attacking returns from like wingback spot. He's been unreal in previous tournaments.
Yeah, I think who is it? I watched someone's video. It might have been FPL Fran mentioned him. So I did take a look at him, but I just couldn't justify the price, to be honest. At 5.5, I did think it was a bit steep.
No, fair enough.
If you're saying he's a legend, then maybe I've got to do a little bit more consideration on that one.
My guy David, who I mentioned earlier in the chat, I'm in a Twitter group chat with him, and he was saying Mæhle gets a return in every 2.5 international games, which I think is pretty good for a defender.
Okay, that's definitely something I should be going away and looking at then.
Next question from Henry. What are your thoughts on Albanian players for game week 1? Are you looking at any of them since they are so cheap?
No. I think like they're going to struggle in that group realistically. I think they're bottom for the kind of betting ranks in terms of thingy. Have you seen who's the guy? Sorry, 11-5?
Yeah, I've literally just got that on screen right now. You read my mind, mate. Was there a particular thing you wanted to look at?
I think it was around the Albania odds for that game, to be honest. I know like Italy are favourites for clean sheet for game week 1, or match day 1, sorry, should I say.
Yeah.
But yeah, Albania just not fancied at all. And even in like the bookies odds as well. They are, I think, the highest price team you can get to go and win the tournament. So I think that says everything about them and their players as well, all in one there, to be honest.
And I think, I'll just go back to my team. I think there are enough cheap options from better teams that you can pick. Like I'll make a video about some more cheap options on my channel in a couple of days' time. But you get Mittelstadt from Germany, who's 4 million, probably going to play left back. Wout Faes from Belgium, 4 million, probably starts for them. With Courtois not getting named in the squad, I think Sales is like heavily back to play in goal, but he's 4 million. And then you've got the likes of Gundogan. There's so many decently priced midfielders. I don't think you need to stretch to those Albanian players.
No, I agree with that. I think another one as well, even if you didn't fancy any of those names we mentioned, Bednarek's in the game at 4 million. Like, people know who he is at least. Whereas if you're picking some of the, like, no offense to the Albanian players, but like realistically, you know, you can take what someone says about, oh, he's predicted to play, but how realistic is that? How often they watch Albania? Whereas at least Bednarek, you know who he is. He's played in the Premier League. He's going to play for Poland. Yeah. So, you know.
I'll move on from that one. Panther King, I've got a bit of info on that because I did a bit of research for a video. He's asking, how injured is the main goalkeeper for France, Maignan Mike? I can't. I've tried to say his surname about 20 times. I still can't say it correctly. But he's dislocated his finger, and I did a quick Google of like the average recovery time from a dislocated finger, and it said 4 to 6 weeks, which could be, he could be back in time for the start of the tournament, or he could like miss the whole of the group stages. I'd definitely imagine he'll probably be back for the knockouts, whatever happens. But I think there's a chance, particularly like if you're using a chip in match day 2 or 3, that you can pick the backup French goalkeeper. I think there's an opportunity to do that. But yeah, It's a bit of a risk, of course, because he could be straight back in the team for match day 1.
Is it Samba who's their backup goalkeeper?
So that's who's heavily touted, but they've also got Areola on their books as well. So I don't know. I would personally say Areola's better than Bryce Samba, but that's just my opinion.
Maybe. What's your chip strategy? Interestingly, like we've kind of skirted around it, but
I've avoided it so far, haven't I?
Go on.
I think
put your controversial one out there.
No, it's all good. I think I'm going to do my limitless in match day 3, because I think that'll be a time where probably need lots of transfers for teams that might be safely through and rotating and stuff. And then I think I'm going to be quite flexible with my wild card. I'm just going to leave it until some point in the knockout stages when I need it, because ultimately I do feel like there'll probably be some upsets. And if there are, I'm going to be loaded up on those teams and want to get rid of them for obviously the rest of the tournament. So my mind, limitless match day 3, and then I'll stay flexible during the knockouts to use my wild card, I think.
Okay. What would you say is like the big appeal of the limitless in match day 3? Like I'm on limitless match day 3 as well, but for people that might be maybe a little bit unaware of, I had some questions around why using it in 3. The top teams are already going to be through and stuff like this.
Yeah, I think, well, hopefully come match day 3, we'll get a bit more info about the better players from the lesser teams that still have something to play for. So maybe if Dobrik, for example, is absolutely wrecking it, scoring loads of goals, you can pick him for match day 3 on your limitless. And it's not necessarily the unlimited budget that appeals to me. It's the fact that it's just a one week sort of thing, whereas the wild card lasts obviously long term, which I think makes better sense for use in the knockout stages. Rather than, because you can just use it match day 3, it's over in a week, and then you get the unlimited transfers anyway. That was kind of my logic.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Jeremy has asked, who are the best attacking defenders in your opinion? I'll let you answer that one.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just going to go straight to my team, to be honest. Obviously, we've kind of spoke about Van Dijk already. If he's got penalties, that makes him attacking in some sense, I guess. I'm currently got double Italy defense as well. DeMarco, pretty good season out in Serie A this season. I think it's 5 goals and 5 assists off the top of my head. Di Lorenzo as well from Italy. I think it's a pretty decent shout as well. Grimaldo, who we've touched on, had a great season at Bayern Leverkusen. Obviously, the opening 2 fixtures for Spain are a little bit difficult, but if you feel that he's going to do well against these better defenses, then I think he could be a decent option. Mittelstadt as well has got some okay-ish attacking data. I think there's a few other ones as well that are kind of maybe a little bit on the side of a gamble. I think Trent fits into that category. England have quite a nice group, but where is Trent going to realistically play within this side is the big question that I think a lot of people have got. But it could be worth the gamble, because if he's playing in midfield, could do some nice things in that area. If he's at left back, is he going to be exposed, not used to playing in that position? And then at right back, I feel there is so much competition that I don't think he's going to start every single game, especially against the likes of, realistically, Denmark are probably going to come second in our group. I feel we just play it safe in that one and go Kyle Walker. Realistically, against the lesser opponents, play Trent, but I think he could be worth a gamble. But let's wait and see where exactly in this England side he's playing.
I'd agree. I'd chuck in on top of that Mailer, who we spoke about, a goal every, an attack and return every sort of 2.5 games in his career for Denmark. And I think Denmark set up largely with 3 at the back, which means he's got a lot of attacking opportunity from sort of left wing back. And then I'd say João Cancelo as well. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I still, in my mind, I think I've only seen predictions as to how Portugal will play. I think they've got a similar problem to England, where they've got so much talent and obviously only 11 places to put them in. So exactly how Portugal line up, I'm not sure. But I think regardless, João Cancelo is gonna be good. I imagine he will play left back or left wing back if they decide to do a back 3, and I think he'll be pretty strong. Portugal in general, I think, look at their team; they're absolutely loaded up with good players, so I think he'll do all right.
Agree. I completely forgot about João Cancelo, to be honest. I had him in my first few drafts, and then I've just binned him off since then.
And also, to be fair, we mentioned him at the start, didn't we? I think Van Dijk will do all right as well. I feel like he's a real threat from set pieces as well. Even if he doesn't take a pen that we all dream of, I think he'll still be good for set piece goals. And when you think of like the Netherlands team, they're going to be pretty solid defensively because they got some good midfielders and then some really big name world class defenders in their squad like Ake, Van Dijk, De Ligt. It's just insane how many good defenders they have. So yeah, I do think Van Dijk will be all right.
Steady, yeah.
Someone asking, how is Wout Fass's chances to start? I've got to be honest, mate. I think he's pretty much nailed on for Belgium. Again, I think we just have to wait and see what the friendlies push out to us. But I think he's likely to start alongside Vertonghen at the back for Belgium. That'd be my prediction. Euro, I'll let you answer this one. Are Romanian players underrated and Ukraine overrated when we look at Romania's path to the Euros and their match against Ukraine?
I feel it could be,
carry on. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I feel it could be one of those. I'm just going to go look at Romania's past fixtures, to be honest. See who they beat in qualifying, because that would be interesting. If they beat, some pretty good teams, Northern Ireland, they beat Switzerland. That's pretty respectable. Drew with Switzerland as well, so unbeaten against Switzerland. But then looking at the rest of the teams, it's nothing special. So I think the quality that Ukraine have, I think they should edge that game out, to be honest. Obviously, we spoke about is it Dubrovnik? I can't pronounce his name. Dubrovnik, the forward.
Oh yeah. Carry on. Everyone know what you mean. Don't worry.
Well, obviously, he's just come off a phenomenal season for Girona as well. So he's going to be going into that tournament with fine form, having just picked up the Golden Boot as well. I think he'll be, maybe eyeing up. You see it a lot of the times. Players that have good international tournaments usually get quite big money moves as well off the back of that. And I think he's probably one of those players that realistically is looking at this tournament and thinking, I've just come off a Golden Boot season. If I go and smash the Euros here, put myself on kind of the European stage, if you like, who's going to come in for me this summer? So I think he could be a really, really good option. They've got Mudryk as well, and obviously he's a bit of a meme in the Premier League. But, international football, it's a different kettle of fish. You see players like that usually don't perform at club level, but when they've got that kind of, I don't know how to really describe it, but they are the key figure of one of those sides. It's like Jude and Shaqiri, the past few international tournaments. Club level, it's pretty inconsistent. Probably a player you would not want to have. But as soon as he puts on a Switzerland shirt, different beast.
He's a world beater,
so that's kind of the vibes I'm getting with that one. And then Lunin as well in goal. I think he's fantastic value at 4.5, to be honest.
Yeah. I was just had the players up and looking at their fixtures. It's like we mentioned, it's a two at the back of Vertonghen and Wout Fass, who are not the strongest defensively. I've seen Wout Fass a couple of times in the Championship this season. He's been absolutely terrible defensively. Going forward, he's pretty good. And obviously, we know Vertonghen's not playing at a Premier League level anymore. So they got Romania, Slovakia, and Belgium as their three fixtures. They could score in all of those games quite easily, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, I'm going to be careful how I etch over this, but in the few sports that I follow, being boxing, swimming, and football, we've seen that the current boxing world champion is Usyk, Ukrainian. The fastest swimmer in the world at the moment, just won the world championships. The sport that I know is Ukrainian. These Ukrainian sports people have got like a different fire under them to perform. So I don't want to talk about politics or anything, but they genuinely have a real fire under them, it looks like. So yeah, just something to think about. Right, what else we got? Bellingham or Foden?
That's a toughie. That's the one I've been going through in my mind, to be honest. Like, which one do I pick? I'm currently leaning slightly more towards Foden, but it's just one of those, isn't it? If he's playing on that left-hand side, he's just not as good. We saw that in the FA Cup final.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was just non-existent in that game. And whether or not, he's going to be playing in that same position, or Bellingham's going to be playing in a completely different position to what he plays for Real Madrid, this kind of goes back to this point we were having a little while ago about the England midfielders. Which one do we go for? Because we're not 100% sure what role they're going to play in this system, to be honest. So I think for now, I think I'd be going Foden, but I think both are great options. It's just which way, like how they're going to set up realistically is going to determine which way we go.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's nothing more I can say on that. Yeah. And the annoying thing will probably be, I think I can't remember if it was the World Cup like warm-up games or the tournament before that, but Southgate didn't really pick a best 11 in either of those games either, if you remember that. I can't remember if it was for the World Cup, but he played like Ben White at centre-back and Mings and players like that for the games. So you didn't really get a view of how he was going to, and he probably did that on purpose, but you didn't get a view of how he was actually going to line up going into the first game. So, yeah, I'll just bear that in mind as well. Whilst we're saying you might get some clarity, we might not because we haven't had it before, which is why at the moment I've got Saka, because I think surely Saka starts on the right wing for England. Surely that's how it lines up. But you never know, right? It could be Foden who plays there, because equally I think Foden could be decent on the right. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Bobby. I think you just tried to send a Jorginho link there, but probably because it's in a stream chat, it didn't work. If you, I've got my Twitter open. If you want to DM me it on Twitter, I can have a look and we'll have a look at it. Thank you for that, mate. Kieran just asking, do you think the Van Dijk penalties is a trap? I don't think it's not true. I think it's true that he's the first choice penalty taker, but I guess it's up to you to interpret that as to whether you want to put him in your team. C Max Spud, there is a guy called Schmid at 4.5 million who is currently 16% owned. Do you know anything about him?
Schmid.
I don't know anything about him. I'm going to have a look now.
Yeah, same.
Is he Swiss? I remember him being Swiss.
Schmid. Is that with a
SCHMID? Yeah. I think people have picked him as a 4.5 million midfielder, and then when people have like ordered it by selected by when they're picking their teams, they've seen that he's well selected and that's drawn their eye and they've picked him. I don't think he's going to start for Switzerland because they've got Xhaka, they've got what's his name, there's Zakaria. I just think they have players ahead of him that can play in midfield.
Oh yeah.
So I don't think he's going to play.
If you're looking for a 4.5, I did find one from Georgia in midfield. It's Kak Veds. Yeah.
I'm ready for you to pronounce these Georgian names, mate.
If you put CHAKVET, he should come up at that point, I hope.
Yeah, I've got him.
But he plays for Watford, played quite a few games. And from a few predicted lineups I've seen, he's going to play at right wing for Georgia. So, I mean, for 4.5 million, for a player that's going to play, could be a little bit attacking as well, he could be a decent little option. I've gone for him just because it frees up a lot of money to go and do some exciting things with the rest of the team. But hopefully I don't need him. But if I do, maybe he could be one of these little legends that just pops up and absolutely slaps it for me.
Nice one. The chat's moving quicker than I can scroll through the questions. Bloody hell. Thank you, everyone, for joining, by the way. We've got 93 people watching at the moment. That's crazy. Thank you. FPL Rick is asking, I don't know if you have him, so I'll let you go first on this one. Why not Florian Wirtz?
I did have him. What was the reason I took him out? The reason I took him out was to go and get Van Dijk in. I originally had him. I don't think he's a bad pick at all, but it was purely money based, that decision to go and get Van Dijk with the penalties. But before that, I did have him in, so I think he's a really good option.
And I'll talk a bit more about Gundogan rather than... I just thought Gundogan was better, to be honest. And my thinking for that is he's on penalties for Germany. And I think he's heavily tipped to play as the number 10. And Germany don't really play. Certainly if they play Havertz as the number 9. He's not an out-and-out number 9. So thinking logically, he and Gundogan, if he's playing at the 10, will interchange. And Gundogan might be the furthest player forward and rotating with Havertz. So in Gundogan, you've got player who's going to take penalties, rotating as like the number 9 with Havertz. And I can't remember which exact season it was, but there was a season at Man City where he was basically the centre forward for them for a good period of time. And he was really, really good there. So we could see that this tournament. I just think he ticks more boxes for me than Wirtz does. Wirtz just has open play goals, whereas Gundogan has penalty. And I think more likely to get open play goals based on their likely system. That's just my opinion though.
Yeah, I think that's all good. I think from watching the Europa League final as well, I wasn't overly impressed with Wirtz, to be honest. He seemed a little bit non-existent in the game.
He's a young player as well, isn't he? So he's going to have peaks and troughs as they do. So yeah. Would you, if you could put them in order? Mateo's asked Gundogan, Wirtz, or Musiala in order.
Oh. I think we've got to have Gundogan as number 1. Musiala.
I don't know if he plays, mate. I got to say, thinking they've got Sane, Wirtz, Gundogan, and Havertz, just because Sane is more of a natural winger, I don't see how Musiala gets in the starting 11, which seems crazy, but I think they've got an issue getting him in.
I'm just back on 11ify looking at the. Have you seen the percentage chance of starting they've got on their...
Let's have a look.
Interestingly, on that, they've got Musiala higher than Florian Wirtz. 93% for Musiala, 73% for
Interesting.
Wirtz.
I'm looking at that right now, yeah.
So that might be something worth considering.
Yeah, definitely.
I still think Wirtz gets into that side, to be honest.
He's had the better season, hasn't he?
Yeah. So I think I still would go Wirtz second, Musiala third.
Interestingly, they've got Sane as 35% to start. That's, I don't know. It seems mad to me that. I think Sane's got to be in that team on the right. There you go. My opinion. Just reading through. Yeah, Emmanuel just saying that De Bast and Witsel can both play centre-back for Belgium. That's a fair point. What do you think about Ian Maatsen for the Netherlands? Do you think he's going to start?
I've seen quite a few predicted lineups with him in. I did have a little play around putting him in the team. I think for 4.5 million could be a decent little shout as well. Not as attacking as I thought this season. I thought he had from just reading on Twitter, that he'd had this amazing season, but 2 goals, 2 assists.
Just normal numbers, isn't it, really? Yeah.
Yeah, that's nothing kind of special, to be honest. But obviously, the previous year for Burnley absolutely ripped it apart. But again, it's one of those, isn't it? I think he might be getting a little bit overhyped from people on Twitter and kind of doing a little bit more digging into his data this season. It's not been overly impressive. So I think for 4.5, he's a decent option. But I think there are better, more attacking defenders that have a higher probability of getting clean sheets and the attacking returns on top of that as well.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with what you said there, mate. Do you think Kai Havertz is a good option?
I do actually. He was originally the first Germany player I went and put straight in because I thought he's going to play up front. Could, cook in that opening game against Scotland. Home nations, statistically, unless they've bribed their way into a tournament, do extremely well. But I think the only problem is I don't think he's going to see out a full 90, whereas I feel other Germany midfielders have a high probability of doing that, to be honest. So I think that's the reason I just didn't go for him.
No, fair enough. And I always go back to I cannot look past picking either Lukaku or Ronaldo, Kane and Mbappe up front. I just can't escape picking that three. I just think it's too risky not to have them.
It's just a ridiculous front three as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So all of them have got pretty easy fixtures. You know, golden boot potential, everything.
Joseph Jeremy is asking, do you think you can go without an England midfielder in your team? I think you definitely can, to be honest. There's so many question marks about them at the moment. I think you can. The only thing I would say, I guess, is I don't know about you, but I feel there are a bit of a shortage of midfielders that really excite me in the game.
Yeah, I think I can get on board with that. I'm just trying to think of the ones that I've not selected, to be honest. I'm just going to have a quick look of any that... I mean, it's like, you know, KDB, do I really want him? I'd rather have Lukaku, to be honest. Where's the search filter? There it is. I'm just looking at other midfielders I've not selected. Yeah, Musiala we've kind of touched on. I know you've got Saka. But then outside of that, it's starting to get a little bit just flaky players, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Danny Olmo, Cole Palmer, is he going to play? Yeah, I think I agree with your point, to be honest. Xavi Simons is an interesting one. But again, is he going to play all the games? Is he even going to start? Like, I've had a few people suggest that in my comment section as well. Like, Xavi Simons isn't nailed for Holland, but we're going to have to wait and see on that one. Sabitslai, again, pretty decent for Hungary, but it's not an easy group. Like, Switzerland usually get out of most groups, and I would favour them to come second. Germany in match day 2, and then Scotland in match day 3. Like, we never know what Scotland could turn up. Like, they did pretty well in qualifying, not towards the back end, but definitely at the start. So, you know, they could be a surprise team for the tournament, to be honest, as well.
Yeah, I agree with everything. One thing to say on Szoboszlai, I guess, is that he's just the absolute talisman for Hungary. So I think he takes all the corners, all the free kicks and pens. So obviously ticks those boxes. But I think you're right. In Hungary, traditionally, they've done all right in tournaments, but they've done all right by being like defensively really dogged and hard to beat rather than scoring loads of goals. So just one thing to bear in mind with him, I guess. And I remember someone asked me a question about Xhaka, and I picked Xhaka in my first draft that I made a video about. Alongside, to be fair, Shaqiri, who I think could be equally as good as Xhaka. But I don't know. It was just a gut feeling that Xhaka is going to have a good tournament this season. I don't know what it is. It's just my gut telling me that he's going to do well. He's had a really good season for Leverkusen. I just feel this is the tournament for him to do well in. Just a feeling rather than anything else, to be honest.
How much is he?
6 million.
Oof.
It's a good price.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure, thanks to FF Bobby, not crediting myself for these stats, I'm pretty sure he gets, in qualifying, he averaged 7 ball recoveries per game. So I think that's worth 2 points. Straight up.
Decent.
So it's easy 2 points a game if he keeps those numbers up. Oh, let's see if we got any other questions. We got loads here. Blimey. Yeah, someone asking thoughts on Jorginho if budget is tight. I mean, I've got him. I think as long as he plays, I think he's worth pick. He's a good pick because he seems to always play well for Italy. I think there's a chance he takes penalties and he's good for ball recoveries. And for 5 million, you can't really ask for much more.
No.
Good question from Joseph, actually. If you could only choose one, would you have Bruno Fernandes or an England midfielder?
I think I picked Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
I think his minutes are secured, to be honest. Like, I think it was in qualifying. Again, this is all from Bobby's spreadsheet. I think it was the 8 games in qualifying. He's played all 8, like 90 minutes. So, you know.
And Bobby's saying Gundo should be decent for ball recoveries as well. So that's something to bear in mind. I'll certainly take that. I shared the website, Dan, in the chat. Hopefully, I've just shared it as a link. Hopefully people can get onto it and use it. I got sent it actually by 11FI a couple of days ago, and they said just use it on your channel and share it. So yeah, click on their link and give them some love. Penalties aside, would you go for Van Dijk or Theo Hernandez of France?
I think I'd still go Van Dijk, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know. Like we've spoke about, I think that that Netherlands defense is pretty strong. It's a difficult game. Whoever comes out on top in that match day 2 game between them and France is pretty difficult. Again, I think it's all dependent on what chip strategy you're on, isn't it? Really, to be honest, what games do you need these players for? I think it's the big one.
Yeah, I totally agree. Someone telling me Lukaku's rubbish, shouldn't pick him. And then Martin, another one on Lukaku. Apparently, I'm not really a betting man, so looking at the bookies' odds is not something I've necessarily done yet. But he's saying that Bellingham is more likely to be top scorer over Lukaku based on the bookies' odds. He just asked us what we think of that. I think probably because England get further in the tournament, but if they get as far as each other, I'd back Lukaku to score more goals myself.
Yeah, I was interestingly having a look at that today. The betting odds, to be honest, Lukaku's like 20-1 to be top scorer.
Really?
Like, he's quite a big margin. I was surprised by it, to be honest, because that group's quite easy for Belgium. He could very easily go and get maybe 5 there in the group stage alone. He just has to get a couple in the knockout rounds, and he's just going to stay as top goal scorer. It's only usually like 8, 9, 10 goals that wins it. So I don't know. I think people are undervaluing him, to be honest, in the game and not really seeing the quality that he's got.
I think he absolutely loves international football as well. I think he's like a bit similar to what I said about Jorginho, the style of games and the way that international football plays out. He always seems to do really well in these tournaments for Belgium. That he's just an absolute nightmare for defenders, basically. And he's on penalties as well, right? So he can always score.
I think he got 12 in qualifying as well for Belgium. He's
in ridiculous form. Yeah. So regardless of what he's been doing for his club, he's been definitely showing up for Belgium, for sure.
Yeah, Jude Bellingham is above Lukaku for the Golden Boot. 16-1 for Jude Bellingham, 20 for Romelu Lukaku.
I guess not. I, again, don't know too much about betting, but do they obviously factor in the chances of these things happening, and then also the amount of people that would bet on it? Like, you think more people just bet on Jude Bellingham because they like him, right?
Yeah, I think it's because, a lot of people just be slapping money on Jude Bellingham. I think they've got to lower it in case it actually does happen, so they don't lose too much.
Speaking of Bellingham, have you got a Bellingham shirt on at the moment, could I tell? Or is it someone else?
If you can guess, right, the England player I've got on the back of this didn't get called up.
Okay.
In the squad.
Right.
But yeah, had a really good season and definitely would have been in the squad, but chose not to be. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. I won't say it because I think I know. That's a good shout. That I like it.
Yeah. I just got it off I don't know if you use them, but like Whatnot streams. They're just basically just people like selling like football shirts and stuff on there all the time. I picked it up for £10.
Oh wow, like fair enough.
Brand new with tags on. It's got like proper code and everything, so it's all legit. But yeah, unfortunately, it's got Ben White on the back.
I think that's cool, mate. I quite like it. I tell you what, a player that I haven't really looked at yet, but when I've scrolled Twitter, to be fair, I've seen a fair few people with Rodri in their teams. What do you make of him? Do you like him as an option?
I like him as an option. I did. What video was it? I spoke about him. I think it's a video that's coming out tomorrow morning about potential hidden gems, and I did speak about Rodri being one of those cheap midfield options that you could go for. Had a really, really good season in the Premier League for Manchester City this year. Massively overperformed though on his XG and expected assist as well, but with players getting that extra point for scoring outside the box, I think that's a good shout. Thing.
It's a good shout.
Ball recoveries as well. Like, yeah, that seems to be the only way Rodri scores, is if it's laid off to him on the outside the box and he just rifles it in. That's the only image I have of Rodri goals, to be honest. So it could be a little bit of a differential pickup, maybe.
How many? So I didn't know this before checking. How many attacking returns do you think he had in the Prem? Season just gone?
I think it was like 10 goals, and was it like 8 assists?
Yeah, the other way around. Yeah, 8 goals, 10 assists. So I mean, that's crazy numbers, isn't it? 18 attacking returns he had this season. Yeah,
pretty mad. If you factor in ball recoveries as well for this game, could be a little bit of a cheat code, to be honest.
I think I've lost the comment now, but he was asking if Rodri's on pens. I'm pretty sure it'll be Morata that's on pens for Spain. I guess again it's still a bit question marky as to how Spain will line up, but I think if Morata plays, he'll be on pens, and I have a feeling that Morata probably does play. Is he in the game?
He's in the game. Is he leaving Madrid this summer? Is it on a free or is it as like a transfer?
I don't know. I think he's available for like 12 billion, isn't he, or something?
Yeah, I feel he's going to have like a proper. Remember Robson Kanu back in 2016, where he just put himself in the shop window as a free agent. It really kind of stinks of that. There's a few players this tournament that are like either available on a free or are going to be on a transfer that they're just going to absolutely just turn it on this tournament, just to get that big money move, and then they'll just suck it off for 2 years. They've got their money, they're fine.
I like that shout, mate. That resonates with me. I do remember Robson Kanu. He was pretty incredible then, wasn't he?
I think it was like West Brom he ended up getting a move to as well.
Yeah.
Definitely got some mad money for that contract, bless him.
Just looking for some more questions. To be fair, something we've not covered. Someone asking about John Stones, but I think I'm going to turn that more into an England defender topic. What do you reckon of the England defence? I haven't had a single one of them in my team so far. What are you thinking?
No, again, it's hard to predict who's going to start in that back line for England, to be honest. Left back, it's up in the air. Same with right back as well. There's so much quality in that position. The two centre backs, again, how does he line up? I thought John Stones didn't have a good FA Cup.
He wasn't very good at all, was he? No.
It looked like he wasn't quite match fit. And is that going to be playing in Gareth's mind? Maybe he plays him in both friendlies, sees if he's actually fully fit and available, because he just looks slightly off the pace from an eye test perspective. So I think if he's not available as well, he might be just one that you just don't consider going for. Pickford might be the only kind of defensive asset from England that is worth even considering. But then again, I think he's 5 or 5.5, and I just can't justify spending that on a goalkeeper when we've got so many good options at 4.5 and even 4 million goalkeepers popping up now as well. Yeah,
I completely agree. And I also think, you just talk about those players that are doubts. Luke Shaw barely played a minute in the last few months. Harry Maguire obviously didn't start the cup final. He's still injured. John Stones doesn't look match fit. And the right back's in question. And I also think in previous tournaments, England have been really good defensively, and he got a lot of stick for it at the time. But when Southgate played his back three, it worked really well. We got through, I think, the last Euros without conceding a goal in the entire group stage. But I just think with the amount of talent he has ahead of the defence, he has to play a back four this tournament. And I just think as a result, England will concede more goals. I'd be surprised if England could keep a clean sheet during the group stages. I genuinely think that. I think they'll outscore all the teams, but I do think we'll be pretty weak defensively with just a back four. I think we've seen that in friendlies, haven't we, as well? They've not looked, when Stones and Maguire have played together, they haven't looked all that solid.
Yeah, agree. I think that's a really good point.
Dan Hilton's putting a tenner on Jude Bellingham, Golden Boot.
He's the one manipulating all the odds then.
He's doing it. Yeah, just on Matt's and FPL chats, I'm pretty sure Daley Blind has played a lot of the recent games for the Netherlands and qualifiers. But I know Tom was saying that his stats aren't amazing. They're not, but got to think Champions League finalist. He's going to be in contention. So I think you just need to see how the friendlies play out before the tournament, really. Feel free to chuck some more questions in, folks. I'll just scroll up, see if I missed any. Question on Germany defenders. Would you pick Schlotterbeck or Tah?
I think Tah for 4.5 is a right steal, to be honest. But, Schlotterbeck does get good ball recovery numbers. But I just think for that cheap price of 4.5, I think it's just worth going for Jonathan Tah, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the two centre backs, sorry folks, will likely be Hummels and Tar will play as a 2. I don't know where Schlotterbeck fits in personally, unless he plays
Hummels
at right
isn't
back.
going.
Is he not
Hummels
going? Is he?
No, he didn't get called up.
Oh, I've been absolutely done by the game then and that. Yeah, in that case, sorry. Why am I saying Hummels? It's Rudiger. Yeah, I think it'd be Rudiger and Tar that play as the 2. I think that's how they'll line up. Apologies. There's so many players to remember and new things to learn from just doing Premier League stuff, isn't there?
It's the pronunciations that are just taking me. I'm just like, every video, I'm just like, how do I tackle this one?
I'm glad that the Georgians, they're not really worth picking at the moment. If they get through from the last 2 to the last 16, my God, I'm in trouble.
Who else is in the group? They've got quite there's definitely one easy fixture in there, isn't there? It might be for match day 3. It might be on the old Limitless. Georgia.
Oh, you're talking Georgia?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Yeah, they got Turkey, Czechia, and Portugal. That's in order.
Yeah, it'll be that Czechia game then. It might be worth a little bit of a gamble in match day 2 on that one. Who's the guy who plays for Napoli? I can never ever pronounce his name correctly. Oh my days.
Someone's leaving the stream because I mentioned Hummels.
Forget it, mate. Just part-timer.
I'm gutted. Someone asking, I'll answer this while you look at what you're looking up. He's saying, is Chiesa an option for match day 1 instead of Lukaku? Likely on penalties, looks nailed, 7.5 million against Albania.
He was one that I think I was looking at as well, but again, he's in that forward position, and I think, like we've alluded to, the front 3 of Lukaku, Kane, and Mbappe is just a bit filthy. Now he's going to be playing on the right-hand side as well. It is against the weakened Albania side, so it could be, beneficial and maybe one of those players that does go under the radar. But I just realistically can't see past Lukaku, Kane, and Mbappe for anyone, to be honest.
Yeah, only Ronaldo is the only other one I genuinely consider. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
It sounds safe and boring, but I just think that if you don't have them and they do well, you're in trouble, and it's going to be match day 1. You're going to probably be so many points behind, you'll struggle to catch that up.
100%, yeah.
I've seen a couple people mention Dumfries, who previously has been and should, I believe, still be the first choice right wing back for the Netherlands. Obviously now has Frimpong for competition, who's been amazing for... Wow, Frimpong's 37% selected in the game at the moment, and it's not even likely. Don't even know if he's going to start. What do you make of that right wing back situation?
I mean, personally, for me, it's probably one I wouldn't even bother trying to predict. I think there's so many other better, not even better defenders, just players that are nailed that you don't have to kind of have this headache over. So yeah, I just think it's kind of worth not kind of even bothering with. I think some people have completely forgot about Denzel Dumfries, unless obviously they played the last Euro games where he was a little bit of a gem, to be honest. But with Frimpong kind of arriving on the scene, like you said, having a really good season with Leverkusen as well, I think those two could be swapping and rotating. And again, match day 2, if you're not playing a wild card, they're up against France. So it's a difficult fixture to call which way that one's going to go. Do you expect Netherlands to keep a clean sheet in that one? Probably not, with the quality that France have got as well. So is it worth having him? Just a few points to put out there, to be honest.
I just didn't realise he was 37% selected. I'm just going to go all positions. He's got to be like one of the most popular players in the game. Get rid of the Netherlands. Yeah, he's like the 5th most selected player in the game. Wow, fair enough.
Verts in 4th as well with 43%. My God.
Yeah. These players aren't even sure to start. Yeah, it's crazy.
I feel it's just like people have seen like Leverkusen unbeaten on Twitter, or they play FIFA, and they're literally just picking players based off that.
It's the casuals, mate. Dirty casuals. That's what it is. Victor, I'll tell you what, actually. I don't know if he is the Danish. Victor might be able to confirm that. I've got a good member and mate of mine, Victor, who is bigging up Højlund from Denmark. Gotta say, it's you've got to squeeze him in over Lukaku, Kane, and Mbappe, which I don't think I could bring myself to do. But I think it could be all right. I think Denmark will be pretty good this tournament. You could probably name a starting 11 just off the top of your head of players you know that are decent that will play for Denmark. Yeah. So I do think they'll be good this tournament. They really did give England problems in the World Cup as well. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I was just going to say, I think they'll probably be comfortably second in our group. They could even top it, to be honest. If they get a draw out of us in that second game, very easily could go and top the group, to be honest.
Yep. No, I completely agree. Yeah, Phil just saying Frimpong's only played twice for the Netherlands so far. So, someone's saying Vert's 100% to start. I'm not betting on that though. Did you get any questions on Twitter at all? That's kind of the end of what I'm seeing in the chat at the moment, or anything in general you wanted to talk about, mate.
No, I got a couple in. Let me go and find it.
Keep them coming in the chat though, folks, if you want to ask us stuff. I'm skipping over some because basically people have already asked them. So if your question's getting skipped over, don't be offended, but I will have already answered it.
Yeah, I got one about Scott McTominay. I've had a few people ask me this as well in my comments as well. Do you think Scott McTominay is a good option at 6.5 million? He's got 7 goals and 2 assists for Scotland in 8 qualifying games.
Yeah. I'll refer to what the Scotsman Bobby thinks on that, I would say. I think it could be a good option. It's just my, I think, natural safe instinct to pick a penalty taker. I think I'd pick a penalty taker at a similar price rather than Scott. But Bobby's saying he's a great pick. Shock.
Not biased at all with that one. Let me have a look if I had any other questions. I don't think I did. I think that was the only one I got on Twitter. I might have had one on YouTube. Let me just quickly check.
And Victor making just a point in general that Denmark have switched the team out a lot, so no one's really certain as to who plays for them as well.
Most reliable keepers to start with good games.
Yeah, we could cover that, couldn't we?
Yeah.
I would say the two I've picked that you can see on screen for Bruggen in sales are not 100% reliable. So don't do what I'm doing. Let's have a look. Let's just filter on the keepers.
Yeah.
You got to say Jordan Pickford, right? I know we doubted England's ability to keep clean sheets, etc., but I mean, he's going to play every game, right? Yeah. So he's up there.
I think Lunen's the one for Lunen's my favourite pick, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I'll probably end up going there.
Decent fixtures.
And you think of other Ukraine have got like a decent. I remember having their defenders that have been nice and cheap in other like international fantasy games I've played, and they've done me pretty well. So yeah, I like that. I was also looking a little bit of an outside shout, although Switzerland have been a bit horrific internationally. Jan Sommer, the Switzerland keeper, I think could do well for both saves and potentially keeping clean sheets. But they do play Scotland, who, as Bobby said, is the greatest team in the tournament. So got to be careful about that.
I was having a look at him because I think it was FPL Mate's draft video. He had the backup goalkeeper in for Switzerland, and there was a few people in the comments questioning why he kind of had it that way. But again, just one maybe. I don't know what the situation is with Jan Sommer. Is he out injured, or like I haven't really done any further research into it, to be honest, because
I just see your question on XG data. I don't know how good it is for internationals, but I'm pretty sure it clocks the XG data for pretty much all top level games. FB Ref is where I get all of that data from. I don't know if you've got any other data source sites, Tom, you use, FB Ref being mine.
Yeah, FB Ref's decent. I use FOTMob quite a lot as well.
Yeah.
It's quite a nice, easy interface to use, to be honest. FB ref can be a little bit daunting for someone that's kind of a casual, to be honest, with data.
No, I'd agree with that. Yeah, fair enough. Blimey. So I'm sorry I'm skipping your question, but I don't really know what you're asking me. Lukaku, Bruno, and DiMarco, or Havertz, Foden, and Can... Oh, okay. Right, hang on. Would you have Lukaku, Bruno, DiMarco, that's option 1, or Havertz, Foden, Cancelo? He's already got Bellingham, so you don't need to worry about Bellingham.
I think I'd go option 1.
I agree. Yeah. That's my team, basically, yeah. I have to say option 1.
Same.
Sorry,
I can't disagree with it.
Sorry, Adster. For some reason, my brain wasn't working out your question, so sorry for skipping that. Good question. We'll probably take a couple more, just conscious of time. Notion Vids is asking, who is the best 5 million defender and midfielder for around 7 million? Do you want to take the defender? I'll do the midfielder.
Yeah, happily. I can go first if you want.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Did you say 7 million or 6 million?
5 million defender, 7 million midfielder.
Okay, 5 million defender, easy one, DiMarco, especially if you're playing the wild card in game week 2. Albania up in match day 1. Pretty good season this year in Serie A. I think it's 5 goals and 5 assists for him. He'd probably be my defender pick to go for as well. Let me see if I can find one that has decent longer term fixtures. Diego Dalot at 5 million could be an all right shout as well. Czechia, Turkey, Georgia, if you weren't looking to play any chips throughout the group stage.
Just looking at the list, I'd probably chuck Koundé in, because I think you'll probably play it right back for France, right?
Yeah.
Got my mate Matt Hummels, who's in the squad. Do you have any others, mate?
Let me have a look, see if there was anyone else kind of hiding down the bottom. I didn't realise how expensive quite a lot of these are, to be honest.
Yeah, Mikalenko's bloody 5 million as well. I didn't realise that.
Akanji could be a decent shout for Switzerland. Hungary and Scotland, match day 1 and 2.
Yeah, I like that.
Timothy Castagna from Belgium. I like that one. He was one player I did have in quite a few of my drafts as well.
I think he's got a really good record for Belgium from what I could put together.
Yeah. And then there's, where's the guy from Denmark? Not Mailer. It's Victor Christiansen, who's 4.5 million. Had a really good season for Bologna this year in qualifying for the Champions League. He plays, I think it's left back, could be right back. But yeah, he plays for Denmark. So he could be currently selected by 0%.
Yeah, I'm just looking at him now, yeah. Doesn't even have a face.
Exactly, he's that good.
I like it. Let's have a look at some midfielders. Right, 7 million then. I think the first two, Xavi Simons and Szoboszlai, you definitely say they're pickable. They don't massively... I say Szoboszlai is probably better just with all the set pieces. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, Simons has had a single return since he started playing for the Netherlands national team. Single attacking return yet, so something to bear in mind. And then the best is Gundogan, in my mind. Spoke about him earlier if you missed it, but I think he's going to play the number 10 for Germany, and with them playing Havertz as a sort of false 9, I think they're going to interplay with each other, and Gundogan could be the furthest forward player for Germany, and he takes their penalties, so I think he's the one at that price. We've spoken about Mudryk, he could be all right. Just having a scroll. Rodri, McTominay, those are both definitely pickable players. Rodri's 20% selected, actually. He's looking quite popular. John McGinn, I think he's the Scotland penalty taker. Something to bear in mind. Super John McGinn. and then you're into the cheapos there. But I think that should be enough to get you going.
Yeah.
We've had a super chat from Andre. He said, guys, everyone's picking... Thank you very much, first of all, for the super chat. That's very generous of you. Everyone's picking Ukraine for cheap assets and overlooking Romania. Andre's definitely Romanian then. We've had the best defence in the qualifiers. Check Ratiu as a 4 million defender, for example. You need to look into us more. Big ups, mate. I will definitely consider that one. Like you were saying, they seem quite solid defensively.
Yeah. I think the only thing with that, though, is some of the teams that they've been playing in qualifying. I think most teams that would have come out of that group probably would have had a pretty good defensive record.
Okay.
The only real team out of that group was Switzerland. So just to kind of caveat that defensive record, that's all I'm going to say on that one.
No, roger that. Okay. I think that's probably an outside shout for Italy from Baltazar. He has said Cambiasso. Is that... It's not Esteban Cambiasso, surely.
I was going to say.
He's like 50 now, isn't he? Oh, no, there is. He is saying that Andrea Cambiasso could start for Italy at 4 million. So a potential 4 million Italian defender in there as well. We're gonna all have 4 million defenders that play, aren't we? At the end of all this.
Sack off all these expensive defenders. We'll just have Van Dijk with penalties and then just surrounded by Wout Faes, Bednarek, Cambiasso. That's the way to go.
I think that probably does us for the chat. I feel like we've covered everything that's been spinning in my mind about picking players. I think we've spoken about at this point. Any more from you, mate?
Nah. I think we've covered a lot of topics there, to be honest, mate. We've done pretty well.
Nice one. Well, thank you so much for your time and coming on a stream, mate. It's been great. And yeah, sorry you couldn't get the tech working, but we can just do one on your channel next time round.
Yeah. Sounds good to me, man. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, just thank you everyone for your support. Andre for the super chat. That's very kind of you, mate. Thank you very much for that. You got 128 people watching us at the moment. So I hope you enjoyed that. Sorry about my Hummels blunder. We all make mistakes, right? And it's still a learning game for me in terms of these international players. It's just what it is, isn't it? Right. I'll leave it there. Anything else to say, Tom? You good?
No. If you've enjoyed anything you've seen from me, obviously, first of all, subscribe to the Golden Goal Fantasy Football channel. And then if you've enjoyed my beautiful face as well, I've just dropped a link to my channel in the chat as well. So if you want to go and check out any of my content, again, making Euro content. And I'm sure me and Tom are going to be doing some more content together throughout this season, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I think, I linked all your socials in the description as well. So yeah, definitely, obviously, go and check out Tom. Cool. We'll leave it there. Cheers, everyone.
Wonderful stuff, man.